government advisor, has now reminded Congress of the patronage that they extended to the likes of Yasin Malik. Ex-Prime Minister Manmohan Singh had invited Yasin Malik, who's a terrorist, in 2006, and that's the picture after the meeting. Who can forget this? Now Kanchan Gupta, who's a senior government advisor, is taking on the Congress after the Kerala Congress tweeted that RSS-linked Jagmohan was responsible for the exodus. Now, Mr. Raina, we all know of the interview in which Yasin Malik was boasting about, among other things, killing 4 Air Force officers. And the UPA government, as part of its Kashmir policy, had the goal to roll out the red carpet for him.
Yes, if you look at the sequence of events, this is the photo from 2006, where Manmohan Singh invited Yasin Malik over a cup of tea. Subsequently, they gave him visa, passport, and he applied for visa to go to Pakistan. Then where he had interactions with Hafiz Saeed. He sat on a protest march in Pakistan. Then he had a yatra, which I think he called Safre Azadi. Or Jashne Azadi, one of them, and he covered entire Pakistan in a cavalcade, asking for the freedom of Kashmir from India. And then he goes and marries the ISI stooge who becomes his wife. Now, this is exactly what Congress did. And they offered him every privilege. Why him? They offered every privilege to every separatist, every terrorist in Jammu and Kashmir. Bitta Karate, the other goon, other murderer of Kashmiri Pandits, who was publicly acknowledged killing 24 Kashmiri Pandits. They go and ensure that his wife gets into civil services in the Jammu and Kashmir cadre. That's what Congress did. And today they have, instead of feeling ashamed that what has happened during the rule in 1990, they are out to go and defend the acts of Pakistan, the acts of terrorists, the acts of Islamist jihadis, and they are now trying to whitewash the crimes that have happened in 1990. As a nation, see, forget I'm a Kashmiri Hindu, as a nation, we are responsible to the people. The people of this country need justice, and that's how the system runs. That's what keeps your faith in the Constitution alive. And none of the governments, and I would blame BJP government equally for this, that while you have done great talks, but on terms of action, there is no action. Yasin Malik is still behind bars.
Now, Amit Raina, would you, let me ask you a direct question. Would you say that this picture of Yasin Malik with then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh sums up the terror appeasement policy of the Congress party?
Yes, it does. It does. And there are many pictures like this. This one? I had filed an RTI on this, I very well remember, asking how did PM meet Yasin Malik? And they said, oh, PM can meet anyone. So then I asked one of the officials, are you saying PM can meet anyone? Are you saying that PM can tomorrow invite Osama bin Laden also? Because PM can meet anyone. He is Osama bin Laden of India. How is when PM inviting for a cup of tea? He should have been behind bars. So that has been the appeasement policy, and appeasement policy, unfortunately, of Congress extended to the terrorists and the jihadis who were hell-bent on breaking this country, who were hell-bent on killing innocent people of this country.
And while we are talking about Yasin Malik, let's not forget about Justice Neelkant Ganju. Neelkant Ganju was a former judge. He was shot dead in broad daylight by this man who in an interview is accepting all of this. More reactions coming in, Mr. Raina. Mohit, stay with us. First reaction from the PDP now. PDP spokesperson has put out a tweet. He says, neither do I care about those who say Jagmohan made Kashmiri Pandits leave, nor about a bigoted director's communal agenda in garb of Kashmiri Pandit exodus. Kashmiri Pandit exodus is a blot on Kashmir's soul. So platitudes basically from the PDP also. We are not surprised, are we, Mr. Raina?
No, we should not be surprised, because you need to realize the exodus of Kashmiri Pandit was driven by an act which was very well planned by the founder of PDP, a person by the name of Mufti Muhammad Saeed, who unfortunately was the Union Home Minister at that point of time. It was so well orchestrated. He gets his daughter kidnapped. Then, in spite of intelligence telling, in spite of intelligence quoting, in spite of locals saying that do not bargain with them because they dare not touch a Kashmiri daughter, he goes and releases 5 hardcore terrorists who take it as a victory, as a sign of victory, as a sign कि हिंदुस्तान हमारे सामने झुक गया, carry a procession across Kashmir Valley and then scale up the killings of Kashmiri Pandits, leading to their genocide and ethnic cleansing and finally the exodus from the Kashmir Valley. So Mufti Muhammad Saeed was a man who in 1986 as Pradesh Congress Committee President, he was not then part of the so-called Janata Dal or the VP Singh government. He was at that point of time Pradesh Congress Committee who orchestrated 1986 riots across South Kashmir, burning hundreds of temples, destroying hundreds of temples, killing Kashmiri Hindus and burning their properties. This is documented in Congress's own report. This is not even documented in any other report. This is documented in Congress's own internal report that Mufti Muhammad Saeed was responsible for attacks on Hindus in 1986. Now, expecting that man to deliver justice and to security.
Well, I'll tell you, the trouble is that successive governments in the last 32 years, Mr. Raina, unfortunately, have only paid lip service to this community and at most used them as political prop.